Now, let's go back to the Prime Minister's speech. Tony Blair today warned ethnic minorities that they should stand up and fight for tolerance, or they won't be welcome in Britain. Well, we have now Mohammed Shafiq from the Ramadhan Foundation in our Manchester studio. The Ramadhan Foundation, a Muslim organisation that works with young people. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Brian.
This is rather raising the stakes, isn't it, when the Prime Minister starts talking in these terms. We've heard others do it now. He's actually saying this is a matter of national debate and really putting it down on the table.
Well, first of all, this is the first of a series of speeches we've seen from this Prime Minister over the past 10 years. We see often speeches and announcements on policy on various occasions. There is no substance here. The Prime Minister talked about integration. It was all one-sided, Brian. I want to accept that we as Muslims in this country, I think minorities in this country, have a duty to integrate into British society. But at the same time, there has to be a realisation that the majority community also has responsibilities.
So you're unhappy with what the Prime Minister is saying? You think was the wrong thing for him to be saying in this public way?
Well, why is it taking him 10 years, nearly 10 years as Prime Minister of this country? It's taken him 10 years to finally realise towards the end of his premiership to talk about integration. I mean, look, seriously, people are not going to listen to the Prime Minister. We know he's a lame duck Prime Minister. He's on his way out. Integration is essential. Tackling extremism and terrorism is essential. But we've got to have an equal policy that is applied across the board. You can't have one rule.
But forgive me, it's not the first time he's talking about this. I mean, I'm looking back here in 1998 when he said that multiculturalism and multiracialism was a good thing, that this was something society should encourage and be part of. What he's now saying is that the people he, in a sense, wanted to see integrated now have a duty to integrate back.
Well, the Prime Minister only last year, 12 months ago, Brian, said that he didn't understand why multiculturalism was, why we talk so much about multiculturalism. He actually denied that multiculturalism was a success. And in today's speech, he's saying that the multiculturalism is a success. So we know we won't take any lectures from a Prime Minister who has not consistently applied a policy where he's tackling the real issues of double standards when it comes to foreign policy, when it comes to deprivation, unemployment around our country. We want to work with the government to tackle some of these issues.
But should he talk about any of these issues in terms of racial and religious integration? Aren't they issues which are discussed separately from the question of whether or not minorities are integrating into society?
Well, absolutely, and I think there are two issues here. One is around integration. What are minority communities doing to do that? And the second debate is around what the government is doing to tackle some of the responsibilities on their part. I am very clear about the responsibilities we face in our community. We're starting our work on a ground level here in the Northwest. But what the Prime Minister is failing to do, what government ministers have done in the past few months, is created an atmosphere of fear where only prejudice and the BNP and others are benefited.
But isn't it acceptable for the Prime Minister to say that there are things here that need to be done? He is saying that this is just a minority, that there is a small group who are causing difficulty and problems. And isn't he entitled, as Prime Minister, to pick that out and spotlight?
And secondly, absolutely, the Prime Minister has a right to say what he says. But I want to focus on the future. I want to focus on an era after Blair,